The Tuesday afternoon sun beat down on Maple Street as Officer Derek Mitchell drove his patrol car through the neighborhood. He had been a police officer for 8 years now. Some people at the police station liked him. They said he was tough and got the job done. Others did not like the way he treated people. They whispered about it in the break room but never said anything to his face. Derek saw a black Mercedes drive past him. It was going a little fast, maybe 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit. Nothing serious. But Derek turned on his lights anyway. He followed the car and watched as it pulled over to the side of the road. He got out of his car and walked toward the Mercedes. His hand rested on his belt near his gun. He always did this. It made him feel powerful. Inside the Mercedes sat a man in his 40s. He wore a simple gray t-shirt and jeans. The man looked calm as Derek approached his window. "License and registration," Derek said. His voice was hard and unfriendly. He did not say please. He did not explain why he pulled the man over. The man inside the car nodded slowly. "Good afternoon, officer. May I reach into my glove box to get my registration?" Derek frowned. He did not like that the man spoke so calmly. Most people were nervous when he pulled them over. That was how it should be. "Just get it," he snapped. The man moved slowly and carefully. He pulled out his wallet and his registration papers. He handed them to Derek through the window. Derek looked at the license. The name read Marcus Webb. There was also a military ID card. "Navy SEAL, huh?" Derek said. He did not believe it. He looked at Marcus with doubt in his eyes. "Sure you are. Step out of the vehicle." Marcus stayed calm. His voice was steady and polite. "Officer, can you tell me why you pulled me over? I was only going a few miles over the speed limit." "I will decide what the problem is," Derek said. His voice got louder. "I said step out of the car, now." Marcus took a slow breath. He had been in difficult situations before, much worse than this. He had served in war zones. He had faced real danger, but he also knew that right now on this street, things could go very wrong if he was not careful. "I am stepping out now," Marcus said clearly. "I am opening my door with my left hand." He opened the door and stepped out. He kept his hands where Derek could see them. By now, some people on the street had stopped to watch. A woman across the street pulled out her phone. She started recording. A teenage boy on his bike stopped and watched too. More phones came out. Derek noticed the people watching. It made him angry. He felt like they were judging him, like they were questioning his authority. He walked closer to Marcus and pointed to the front of the car. "Put your hands on the hood," Derek ordered. "I am going to search you." Marcus did not move right away. He looked at Derek calmly. "Officer, this is not necessary. I have not committed any crime that would justify a search. You pulled me over for a minor traffic violation." The people watching started to murmur. Derek's face turned red. He felt embarrassed and angry. This man was challenging him in front of all these people. He grabbed Marcus's arm and pulled him toward the car. "I said, put your hands on the hood," Derek shouted. Marcus did not resist. He placed his hands on the hood of his car, but he kept talking in that same calm voice. "I am cooperating, officer, but I want it known that I do not consent to this search. This is being recorded by multiple witnesses." Derek ignored him. He started to pat Marcus down roughly. His hands moved aggressively across Marcus's body. He was not being professional. He was being rough on purpose. While he searched, he said things under his breath. Mean things about where Marcus lived and what kind of person he must be. Marcus stayed perfectly still. He did not say anything back. He just stared straight ahead. His jaw was tight, but his body was relaxed. Years of military training had taught him how to control himself in stressful situations. "Nothing here," Derek finally said. He sounded almost disappointed. "Get back in your car. Am I free to go?" Marcus asked. "Not yet. Wait here." Derek walked back to his patrol car with Marcus's license. He sat in his car for a long time, much longer than necessary. He was writing a ticket, not just for speeding. He added other violations too. Failure to signal, improper lane change, things that were not true. Marcus stood by his car and waited. The people on the street were still watching, still recording. A woman called out to him. "Are you okay, sir?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Thank you for recording this. Please keep those videos safe." After 15 minutes, Derek walked back to Marcus's car. He handed him several tickets. "Sign here," he said. Marcus looked at the tickets. "These charges are false," he said quietly. "I did not commit these violations." Tell it to the judge, Derek said with a small smile. He thought he had won. He thought he had put this man in his place. Marcus signed the tickets. He took his copy and got back in his car. Derek walked back to his patrol car and drove away. He felt good. He felt like he had done his job. Marcus sat in his car for a moment. He was not angry. He was disappointed. Disappointed that this still happened. Disappointed that even after all his years of service to his country, he could still be treated this way because of the color of his skin. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Hey, it is Marcus. I need to report an incident. Yes, I am fine. No, I was not hurt. But we need to talk about what just happened. As Marcus drove away, he did not know that the videos were already spreading online. The woman who recorded first had posted it to social media. She wrote, "Police officer harasses innocent man for no reason. This is wrong." Within an hour, the video had been shared 50 times. Within 2 hours, 500 times. By that evening, it would be everywhere. Local news stations would pick it up. National news would take notice. And Officer Derek Mitchell's life was about to change in ways he never expected. Marcus drove home thinking about what he would do next. He was not just a former Navy SEAL. He was now the lead instructor at the State Police Academy. He taught new officers how to do their jobs properly, how to treat people with respect, how to use force only when necessary, how to be fair. And now he had just been treated terribly by one of the officers in his own state. An officer who clearly needed training, who needed to learn what it really meant to serve and protect. Marcus had an idea. It was not about revenge. It was about teaching, about making real change. He pulled into his driveway and turned off his car. His wife came out of the house. She could see on his face that something had happened. "What is wrong?" she asked. Marcus told her everything. She shook her head. She had heard stories like this so many times. From him, from their friends, from family members. It never got easier. "What are you going to do?" she asked. Marcus looked at her with determination in his eyes. "I am going to make sure he learns. Really learns. Not just a slap on the wrist. Real change." That night, Marcus sat at his computer and watched the videos that had been posted online. There were 5 different angles of the traffic stop. All of them showed clearly what had happened. How Derek had treated him. How unnecessary the whole thing was. How aggressive and disrespectful Derek had been. Marcus made several phone calls. One to his lawyer. One to the police chief. One to the head of the police academy where he worked. He explained what happened. He told them what he wanted to do about it. The next morning, Officer Derek Mitchell woke up and made coffee. He turned on his phone and saw hundreds of notifications, text messages, missed calls, emails. He opened his social media and saw his face everywhere. The video had gone viral. His heart started to beat fast. His hands shook as he scrolled through the comments. People were angry. Very angry. They were calling him names, demanding he be fired. Some were threatening him. His phone rang. It was his supervisor. "Mitchell, get to the station right now. We need to talk." Derek got dressed quickly and drove to the police station. His whole world was about to come crashing down. Derek walked into the police station with his head down. Other officers looked at him as he passed. Some looked away quickly. Others stared with anger or disappointment. Nobody spoke to him. The silence felt heavy. He was told to go straight to the chief's office. Chief Sandra Rodriguez had been running the Riverside Police Department for 6 years. She was known for being fair but strict. She did not tolerate bad behavior from her officers. Derek knocked on her door. "Come in," she said. Her voice was cold. He walked in and saw Chief Rodriguez sitting at her desk. She did not smile. She did not tell him to sit down. Instead, she turned her computer screen toward him. "Watch this," she said. Derek watched the video of yesterday's traffic stop. Seeing himself on screen made his stomach feel sick, but he tried to act like it was not a big deal. "Chief, I was just doing my job." That guy, Chief Rodriguez interrupted, is Marcus Webb. He is a decorated Navy SEAL veteran. He served 3 tours in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. He earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, and he is now the lead defensive tactics instructor at our State Police Academy. Derek's face went pale. He had not known any of that. Well, he had seen the military ID, but he had not believed it was real. He teaches police officers, Derek, he teaches them how to be better than what you showed in that video. The chief's voice was getting louder. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Not just for you, but for every good officer in this department. I was just being careful, Derek said weakly. You never know what could happen during a traffic stop. Do not give me that excuse, Chief Rodriguez snapped. I have watched the video 10 times. I have read the witness statements. You were not being careful. You were being aggressive and disrespectful. And those tickets you wrote, all lies. We both know he did not commit those violations. Derek looked at the floor. He did not know what to say. You are on administrative leave starting right now, the chief continued. Give me your badge and your gun. Derek's hands shook as he unpinned his badge. He placed it and his service weapon on the desk. For how long? He asked. Until we figure out what to do with you. The mayor is calling for your termination. The community is outraged. This has been on the news all morning. We have protesters outside the station right now. Derek left the chief's office feeling numb. He walked out the back door to avoid the protesters. He got in his car and drove home. When he got there, he turned on the television. Every local news channel was showing the video. They were talking about him, calling him a racist, saying he should be fired and arrested. He picked up his phone and called his partner, Officer James Riley. James had worked with Derek for 4 years. Riley, have you seen the news? Derek asked. Yeah, I have seen it, James said quietly. Derek, what were you thinking? I was doing my job. No, you were not. I have seen you do stuff like this before. We all have. But this time it got caught on camera. And this time the guy you messed with has connections. So what am I supposed to do now? James was quiet for a moment. Honestly? You need to face what you did. This is not going away. Derek hung up and threw his phone across the room. He spent the rest of the day and night reading comments online and watching the news. People were furious with him. His face was being shared thousands of times. Someone had found his old social media posts. They were showing those too. Posts where Derek had made jokes about certain neighborhoods. Jokes that were not funny. They were mean and showed his real feelings. Meanwhile, Marcus Webb was having a very different day. He woke up to hundreds of messages from friends and family checking on him. Fellow veterans reached out to show support. His colleagues at the police academy called to see if he was okay. Chief Rodriguez called Marcus personally. Mr. Webb, I am so sorry for what happened to you. There is no excuse for Officer Mitchell's behavior. I want you to know that we are taking this very seriously. I appreciate that, Chief, Marcus said calmly, but I want to talk to you about something. I do not want revenge. I want change. What do you mean? I want to retrain him. I want to put Officer Mitchell through our updated program at the academy. The one focused on de-escalation, proper use of force, and understanding implicit bias. Let me teach him how to be a better officer. The chief was surprised. You want to be his instructor? After what he did to you? Yes, because firing him does not fix the problem. He will just carry those same beliefs somewhere else. But if we can actually change his thinking, that makes a real difference. Not just for him, but for every person he encounters in the future. Chief Rodriguez thought about it. That is very generous of you. But he has to want to change. We know he will not want to at first. But I can work with that. I have trained stubborn people before. 2 weeks later, Derek got a call to come back to the police station. He thought maybe they had decided on his punishment. Maybe just a suspension. He could handle that. Then everything would go back to normal. He walked into the conference room and saw several people sitting there. Chief Rodriguez, 2 members of the police disciplinary board, and Marcus Webb. Derek's heart dropped. He looked at Marcus, then at the chief. What is he doing here? Sit down, Officer Mitchell, Chief Rodriguez said. Derek sat down slowly. His hands were sweaty. He kept glancing at Marcus, who looked back at him with a calm, steady gaze. Officer Mitchell, we have reviewed your case thoroughly, the chief began. Your actions during that traffic stop were violations of department policy and possibly criminal. The community is demanding that you be terminated and prosecuted. Derek felt panic rising in his chest. However, the chief continued, Mr. Webb has made a request that we are willing to consider. He wants to give you a chance to be retrained. Derek looked confused. Retrained? Marcus leaned forward. Officer Mitchell, you are going to go through the police academy's updated program. You will learn about de-escalation, about implicit bias, about proper use of force, about treating every person with dignity and respect. And I am going to be your primary instructor. Derek's face turned red. He felt humiliated. You have got to be kidding me. You want me to be trained by... He stopped himself before he said something that would make things worse. By the man you mistreated? Marcus finished for him. Yes, exactly. This is ridiculous, Derek said, looking at the chief. I am not doing this. Chief Rodriguez's voice went ice cold. Then you are terminated effective immediately, and I will personally hand over all evidence to the district attorney for prosecution. The DA is very interested in charging you with false arrest, filing false reports, and civil rights violations. Derek's mouth went dry. You are threatening me? I am giving you a choice, and the chief said. You can go through this retraining program and possibly save your career. Or you can be fired and face criminal charges. Which will it be? Derek looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him, waiting for his answer. He felt trapped. He felt angry. But he also felt scared. He did not want to lose everything. How long is this program? He asked quietly. 6 weeks, Marcus answered. 6 weeks of intensive training. Classroom work and practical scenarios. If you complete it successfully and show real improvement, you can return to duty. But you will be on probation for 1 year. Any violations and you are done. Derek clenched his fists under the table. He wanted to argue. He wanted to refuse. But he knew he had no choice. Fine, he said through gritted teeth. I will do it. One more thing, Marcus added. During these 6 weeks, you will treat me and every instructor with respect. You will participate fully in every lesson. You will not complain or make excuses. If you cannot commit to that, then we are done here. Derek looked at Marcus with barely hidden anger, but he nodded. Understood. Report to the State Police Academy Monday morning at 7, Marcus said. Do not be late. As Derek left the conference room, he felt humiliated and furious. In his mind, he was the victim here. He was being punished unfairly. He was being forced to be trained by the very person he had pulled over. It felt like the ultimate insult. But Marcus saw things differently. As he watched Derek leave, he did not feel victorious or superior. He felt determined. He knew Derek did not want to be there. He knew Derek would resist every step of the way. But Marcus had trained hundreds of people in his career. He had taken raw recruits and turned them into Navy SEALs. He had taught people who thought they could not learn. This would be harder than any of that. Changing someone's mind was more difficult than teaching them a skill. But Marcus believed it was possible. He had to believe it. Because if Derek could change, then maybe others could too. That weekend, Marcus prepared his lesson plans. He gathered videos of police encounters. He compiled statistics and research studies. He created scenarios for role-playing exercises. He was ready. Derek spent the weekend angry and bitter. He drank beer and complained to his few remaining friends who would still talk to him. He watched the news coverage die down but knew people would not forget. His face was now known. He was now the symbol of bad policing. On Sunday night, Derek barely slept. He kept thinking about facing Marcus the next morning. He kept imagining how humiliating it would be. He considered not showing up. Just walking away from it all, but in the end, fear won over pride. He could not afford to lose his job. He could not face criminal charges. Monday morning came too quickly for Derek. He pulled into the parking lot of the State Police Academy at 6:45. He sat in his car for a few minutes, gathering himself. Through the window, he could see the training facility. It was a large building where new recruits learned to become police officers, where they were taught the basics of law enforcement. Derek had gone through this academy 8 years ago. Back then, he had been excited, proud. He had felt like he was joining something important. Now he was back here, but this time as someone being punished, being corrected. It made him feel small. He walked into the building and followed the signs to room 204. When he entered, he saw 3 other officers already sitting there. They all looked uncomfortable. Derek recognized one of them, Officer Linda Chen from a neighboring department. She had been in the news too a few months ago for using excessive force during an arrest. Marcus was standing at the front of the room. He wore dark pants and a navy blue polo shirt with the Police Academy logo. He looked at Derek as he entered. Officer Mitchell, you're early. Good, take a seat. Derek sat in the back row, far from the others. He crossed his arms and stared at the wall. At exactly 7 o'clock, Marcus closed the door. He stood at the front and looked at each person in the room. His gaze was steady and serious. Good morning. My name is Marcus Webb. I am your primary instructor for the next 6 weeks. You are all here because you made serious mistakes. Mistakes that hurt people. Mistakes that damage trust between law enforcement and the communities you serve. He paused and let his words sink in. I am not here to make you feel good about yourselves. I am not here to be your friend. I am here to teach you something you should have learned a long time ago. The badge you wear does not make you better than other people. It makes you responsible to them. It makes you accountable. Derek rolled his eyes. Here we go, he thought. Another lecture about political correctness. Marcus saw the eye roll. He walked closer to Derek's row but did not call him out directly. Instead, he continued speaking to the whole group. Some of you might think this is a waste of time. Some of you might think you did nothing wrong. You might think you are victims of social media or public pressure. Let me be very clear. You are not victims. The people you mistreated are victims. You are here because you abused your power. For the next 4 hours, Marcus showed them videos. Not just videos of their own incidents, but videos from across the country. Traffic stops that went wrong. Arrests that turned violent when they did not need to. Officers treating people with disrespect and cruelty. After each video, Marcus would pause and ask questions. What did the officer do wrong here? At what point did this situation escalate? What could have been done differently? The other 3 officers participated, though quietly. They answered questions when asked. But Derek sat silent. He refused to engage. When Marcus asked him a direct question about one of the videos, Derek just shrugged. I do not know, he said flatly. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. You do know. You are choosing not to answer. That is different. The morning break came. The other officers went to get coffee. Derek stayed in his seat checking his phone. Marcus walked over to him. Officer Mitchell, this attitude is not going to work. I am here, am I not? Derek said without looking up from his phone. I showed up. That is what you wanted. No, what I want is for you to actually learn something. To understand why what you did was wrong. Derek finally looked up. You want me to apologize? Fine, I am sorry. Happy now? Apologies mean nothing if you do not understand what you are apologizing for, Marcus said. And right now I do not think you understand at all. The afternoon was worse. Marcus had them discuss statistics about racial profiling, about how Black and Hispanic drivers were stopped more often than white drivers, even though they were less likely to have contraband. About how Black people received harsher sentences for the same crimes. Derek sat through it all with his arms crossed and his face showing pure contempt. During another break, he complained to Officer Chen. This is all just liberal propaganda, he muttered, making us feel guilty for doing our jobs. Linda Chen looked at him with surprise. Derek, I'm here because I slammed someone's face into a car hood when I did not need to. I hurt someone who did not deserve it. Maybe you should think about why you are really here. The first week crawled by. Every day was the same. Lectures, videos, discussions. Marcus remained professional but stern. He never lost his patience even when Derek made sarcastic comments or refused to participate. The other officers slowly started to open up to engage with the material. But Derek remained locked in his defensive shell. Week 2 brought a different challenge. Scenario training. Marcus had hired actors to play various civilians in different situations. The officers would have to respond as if they were on duty. Their responses were recorded and reviewed. Derek's first scenario was a traffic stop. The actor playing the driver was a young Black man in his 20s. He was polite but nervous. When Derek approached the car, he immediately demanded the driver step out. License and registration, Derek barked. No greeting. No explanation. The actor complied, but Derek still ordered him out of the car. His hand went to his belt near where his gun would normally be. His body language was aggressive, threatening. Marcus was watching from the control room. He had seen enough. He pressed the intercom button. Stop, freeze right there. Derek stopped and looked around, confused. Marcus walked out of the control room and into the scenario space. His footsteps were heavy and deliberate. When he reached Derek, his presence was commanding, intimidating in a way that had nothing to do with aggression. It was the presence of someone who had commanded men in combat. Someone who had earned respect through actions, not just a badge. What did you see when you approached that vehicle, Mitchell? Derek shifted uncomfortably. A potential threat. No, Marcus said, his voice low and controlled but filled with intensity. You saw a young Black man, and you made assumptions. You did not see a person. You did not see a taxpayer. You did not see someone's son, brother, maybe someone's father. You saw a stereotype. I treated him the same way I would treat anyone. Derek started to argue. That is a lie. Marcus cut him off sharply. And everyone in this room knows it is a lie. Including you. Marcus stepped closer. Derek was not a small man. But Marcus's presence made him seem smaller. Let me tell you something about real threats, Mitchell. I have faced real threats. I have been shot at by insurgents in Fallujah. I have made life or death decisions in seconds in Afghanistan. I have had to decide whether the person walking toward my checkpoint was a civilian or a suicide bomber. Those were real threats. His voice got quieter but somehow more intense. You know what the difference is between you and me? When I faced those threats, I still had to be absolutely certain before I acted. Because if I made the wrong call, innocent people died. My brothers in arms died. I had to be sure. Marcus paused, making sure Derek was really hearing him. But you treat American citizens like enemy combatants. You treat people in their own country like they are guilty before you even speak to them. And you do it based on the color of their skin. That is not policing. That is prejudice with a badge. For the first time since this all started, Derek felt something crack inside his defensive wall. Not acceptance. Not agreement. But the tiniest seed of doubt. A small voice in his head asking, what if he is right? The moment passed quickly. Derek's defenses came back up. You do not understand what it is like out there, he said. You were in the military. That is different. You are right. It is different. In the military, we had rules of engagement. We had standards. We had honor. What do you have? Derek did not answer. He could not answer. The rest of the week was difficult. Every scenario Derek participated in ended the same way. Marcus would stop it and point out what Derek did wrong, how he escalated instead of de-escalated, how he saw threats where there were none, how his body language and tone created fear and tension. The other officers were improving. They were learning to approach situations differently, to communicate better, to see people as people first, not as suspects. But Derek remained resistant. On Friday afternoon of the second week, Marcus asked Derek to stay after class. The other officers left and it was just the two of them in the room. Officer Mitchell, we need to talk. About what? Derek said tiredly. About whether you are capable of change. Because right now I do not see it. You show up every day with the same attitude, the same resistance, the same refusal to even consider that you might need to learn something. I am here, am I not? I am doing what you asked. No, you are not. You are sitting in a chair. You are going through the motions. But you are not learning. You are not even trying to learn. Derek stood up, his frustration finally boiling over. What do you want from me? You want me to say I am a racist? That I am a terrible person? Fine, whatever. Can I go now? Marcus remained calm. I do not want you to say anything. Words are easy. I want you to actually think about why you are here. Not the situation with me. Think about every person you have pulled over, every person you have searched, every person you have treated with disrespect. Think about whether they deserved it. Really think about it. Derek grabbed his bag and walked toward the door. Week 3 started differently. On Monday morning, Marcus made an announcement that caught everyone by surprise. This week, we are not staying in the classroom. You are going to spend time in the communities you police, but not as officers, as observers, as listeners. Derek felt his stomach tighten. He did not like the sound of this. Each of you will be assigned to a different community organization. You will volunteer there, help out. But most importantly, you will talk to people. Really talk to them. Listen to their stories. Understand their experiences with police officers. Marcus handed out assignments. Officer Chen was going to a youth center. Another officer was assigned to a senior community center. Derek looked at his assignment sheet. He was going to the Riverside Community Center in the predominantly black neighborhood on the east side of town. You have got to be kidding me, Derek muttered. Problem, Officer Mitchell? Marcus asked. No, Derek said quickly. No problem. That afternoon, Derek drove to the Riverside Community Center with dread in his chest. The building was old but well-maintained. Colorful murals decorated the outside walls. Kids' laughter came from somewhere inside. He parked his car and sat there for a few minutes, trying to convince himself to go inside. Finally, he got out and walked through the front door. A woman in her 60s greeted him at the front desk. She had gray hair pulled back in a neat bun and wore a bright yellow cardigan. Her name tag read, Ms. Johnson. "You must be Derek," she said with a warm smile. "Marcus told me you would be coming. Welcome to our center." Derek was surprised by how friendly she was. He had expected anger or coldness. "Thank you," he said awkwardly. "Come on, let me show you around." Ms. Johnson gave him a tour. She showed him the after-school program where kids did homework and played games. She showed him the community kitchen where volunteers made meals for families who needed help. She showed him the job training center where adults learned new skills. "We serve about 200 families here," Ms. Johnson explained. "Most of them are good people working hard to get by. They just need a little support sometimes." Derek nodded, not sure what to say. "You can start by helping in the after-school program. The kids are doing art projects today. Just supervise and help if they need anything." Derek spent the afternoon sitting at a table with 5 kids aged 8 to 10. They were making drawings with markers and crayons. At first, the kids were quiet around him. Suspicious, but slowly they started to warm up. A little girl named Jasmine showed him her drawing. It was a picture of her family standing in front of a house. "That is very nice," Derek said. "That is my mom and my brother and me," Jasmine explained. "And that is my dad. But he does not live with us anymore." "Oh, I am sorry." "It is okay. He is in jail. He got pulled over by police and they found something in his car and now he is gone." She said it so matter-of-factly, like it was just normal life. Derek felt uncomfortable. "I see." A boy named Marcus Jr., who everyone called MJ, looked up at Derek. "Are you a police officer?" Derek hesitated. "Yes, I mean, kind of. I am on a break right now." "My cousin got arrested last month," MJ said. "He did not do anything wrong, but the police said he did. They hurt him too. Gave him a black eye." Another child chimed in. "My uncle got stopped by police 6 times this year, just for driving." Derek listened as these children so young talked about police encounters like they were everyday experiences. Bad experiences. Frightening experiences. It made him deeply uncomfortable. After the kids left for the day, Ms. Johnson invited Derek to sit with her in her office. She made 2 cups of tea and sat across from him. "How was your first day?" she asked. "It was fine," Derek said. "The kids were nice. They are good kids. All of them. They just live in a world that is harder than it should be." She took a sip of her tea. "Marcus told me what happened to him." "With you?" Derek looked down at his cup. "Yeah. He also told me why you are here. That he is trying to help you understand something." "I guess so." Ms. Johnson was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. "My son was like those kids. Smart, polite, hardworking. He got straight A's in school. Graduated from college. Got a good job at a tech company." "That is great," Derek said, though he wondered why she was telling him this. "He was also pulled over by police 23 times before he turned 25, she continued. 23 times. And you know how many tickets he got? 4. The rest of the time, the officers just wanted to know why a black man was driving a nice car in a nice neighborhood. They wanted to search his car. They wanted to question where he was going." Derek shifted in his seat. "My son did everything right. He was polite. He kept his hands visible. He followed every instruction. And still he was treated like a criminal over and over again. Do you know what that does to a person? To be treated like you do not belong in your own country?" "I am sorry that happened to him," Derek said quietly. "Are you? Or are you sorry that you got caught doing the same thing?" Ms. Johnson's voice was not angry. It was sad. Tired. Derek did not answer. Over the next few days, Derek heard more stories. He met Marcus's younger brother, David, who worked as a software engineer. David told him about being handcuffed in his own driveway when a neighbor called the police because she did not recognize him. David lived there for 3 years. He met a man named Thomas who owned a small restaurant. Thomas told him about how police officers would eat at his restaurant and never pay. They said they were keeping the neighborhood safe, so meals should be free. When Thomas tried to refuse, they started finding code violations and health violations that did not really exist. He met a teenage boy named Darius who wanted to be a lawyer. Darius had been stopped and searched 5 times in the past year while walking home from school. He carried his school ID now and made sure to always wear his backpack in front where police could see it was just books. Each story chipped away at the walls Derek had built in his mind. The walls that told him he was just doing his job. That told him the people he stopped deserved to be treated with suspicion. That told him he was the good guy. On Thursday evening of that week, something unexpected happened. Marcus invited Derek to dinner at his house. Derek almost said no, but something made him say yes. He drove to Marcus's home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was a nice two-story house with a well-kept lawn. Kids' bikes were in the driveway. It looked like any other American family's home. Marcus's wife, Jennifer, answered the door. She was a doctor at the local hospital. She was kind, but Derek could see the wariness in her eyes. This was the man who had mistreated her husband. But still, she welcomed him into their home. At dinner, Derek met Marcus's whole family. His teenage daughter, Aaliyah, who was on the honor roll and wanted to study engineering. His son, Marcus Jr., who played soccer and loved video games. His father, James, who had served in Vietnam. The conversation was awkward at first, but slowly as they ate, people started talking more naturally. Aaliyah told a story about being followed around a store by security while shopping with her friends. All her friends were white. Only she was followed. They thought I was going to steal something, she said. I had $80 in my pocket. I was not stealing anything. But they followed me the whole time. Jennifer talked about patients at the hospital who were surprised she was a doctor. They ask me if I am the nurse, or they request a different doctor. One patient asked if I was qualified even though I went to Johns Hopkins. James, Marcus's father, fixed Derek with a steady look. Son, I served my country in Vietnam. Came home to people spitting on me, not because I did anything wrong, because of the uniform I wore and the color of my skin. I thought things would be better for my children, for my grandchildren. And some things are better, but some things are still the same. He leaned forward. You wear a uniform too. Every day you make a choice. Are you going to be the person who protects and serves everyone, or are you going to be the person who decides some people do not deserve respect, based on how they look? Which one are you going to be? That question stayed with Derek all night. After dinner, he drove home in silence. He kept thinking about what James had asked him. Which one was he going to be? When he got home, he did something he had been avoiding. He opened his laptop and pulled up the video of his encounter with Marcus. The video that had changed everything. But this time he forced himself to really watch it, to see it from an outside perspective. He watched himself approach the car with aggression. He heard his own harsh tone. He saw Marcus's calm, respectful responses. He saw himself order Marcus out of the car for no good reason. He saw himself search him roughly. He heard the ugly things he said under his breath, and he saw the faces of the people watching. The fear in their eyes, the anger, the pain of seeing something they had probably seen many times before. For the first time, Derek truly saw himself as others saw him. Not as a tough cop doing a hard job, but as a bully with a badge. As someone who used his power to hurt people who could not fight back. As someone who treated other human beings as less than human. He watched the video 3 more times. Each time he felt worse. His hands started to shake. His eyes filled with tears he did not want to cry. But they came anyway. All the stories from the past week came flooding back. Ms. Johnson's son pulled over 23 times. Monday morning felt different to Derek as he drove to the police academy. The sun was just coming up. The streets were quiet. He arrived at 6:30, half an hour before the official start time. Marcus was already there, waiting in the parking lot. Good morning, Officer Mitchell, Marcus said. Good morning, Derek replied. Then after a pause, thank you for giving me another chance. Marcus nodded. The hard part starts now. Understanding what you did wrong is just the first step. Changing how you think and act is much harder. Are you ready for that? I think so. I hope so. They walked into the building together. The next 3 weeks were intense. But this time, Derek was truly present. He listened during lectures instead of tuning out. He asked questions instead of making sarcastic comments. He participated in discussions instead of staying silent. When they watched videos of police encounters, Derek no longer defended the officers who acted badly. Instead, he pointed out what they did wrong. He identified the exact moments when situations could have been handled differently. Better. Right there, he said during one video analysis. The officer made it personal. He got his ego involved. If he had just stayed calm and professional, none of the rest would have happened. Marcus watched Derek closely during these weeks. He saw the change. It was real. Derek was not just going through the motions anymore. He was genuinely trying to unlearn years of bad habits and wrong thinking. The scenario training was completely different now. When Derek did the traffic stop scenario again, he approached the vehicle calmly. He explained why he had pulled the person over. He spoke respectfully. He did not demand that the driver get out unless there was a real reason. "Good afternoon, sir. I am Officer Mitchell. I pulled you over because you were going about 8 miles over the speed limit. May I see your license and registration, please?" His tone was polite. His body language was relaxed but professional. He did not rest his hand near his weapon. He did not make assumptions. He treated the person like a human being. Marcus stopped the scenario and walked over. Derek tensed, expecting criticism, but instead Marcus extended his hand. "That was excellent work, Officer Mitchell." Derek shook his hand, feeling a mix of relief and pride. Real pride this time, not the false pride of dominating someone, but the pride of doing something right. The other officers in the program had noticed Derek's transformation too. During breaks, they talked to him differently now, with more respect. With more openness, Officer Chen sat with him at lunch one day. "What changed?" she asked. "In the first 2 weeks you were so resistant. Now you are like a different person." Derek thought about it. "I stopped lying to myself. I stopped making excuses. I started actually listening to what people were telling me about their experiences, and I realized I had been part of the problem. That is hard to admit. Yeah, it was the hardest thing I have ever done. Harder than anything physical. Harder than any test. Admitting that you have been wrong for years, that you have hurt people, that is brutal." In the final week, there was a comprehensive exam. Written tests on policy and law, scenario-based practical tests, interviews with Marcus and other instructors. Derek studied hard. He wanted to do well, not just to pass and keep his job, but because he actually cared now about being a good officer. On Friday afternoon, the last day of training, Marcus called Derek into his office. Derek sat down, nervous. Had he passed? Had he done enough? Marcus looked at him seriously. "Officer Mitchell, you have completed the 6-week retraining program. You passed all your exams. Your scenario performance was excellent. By all measures, you have succeeded." Derek felt relief wash over him. "But that is not what I want to talk to you about," Marcus continued. "I want to talk about what happens next. Because passing this program is not the end. It is the beginning. The real test is what you do when you are back on the street, when there is no instructor watching, when it is just you and your choices." "I understand," Derek said seriously. "I have thought about that a lot. I know I am going to make mistakes. Old habits do not just disappear, but I am committed to catching myself, to stopping and thinking before I act, to treating every person I encounter with the respect they deserve." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "I want to tell you something. When I first proposed this idea, to retrain you myself, a lot of people thought I was crazy. They said you would never change. They said people like you do not change. They said I was wasting my time." Derek listened quietly. Part of me wondered if they were right, especially in those first 2 weeks when you were so defensive, so resistant. I thought maybe you were a lost cause. What changed your mind? You did. When you sent me that text message, I could tell it was real. And then when you came in that Monday, I saw it in your eyes. The defenses were gone. The excuses were gone. You were finally ready to learn. Marcus stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the training grounds. "Here is the thing, Derek. I do not expect you to be perfect. I do not expect you to never make another mistake. What I expect is that you will try, every single day, that you will be honest with yourself about your biases, that you will check yourself when you feel yourself falling back into old patterns. Can you do that?" "Yes," Derek said firmly. "I can do that. I will do that." Marcus turned back to face him. "Then you have my recommendation to return to duty. Chief Rodriguez will make the final decision, but I'm going to tell her that you have shown genuine change and deserve another chance." Derek stood up. "Thank you, Marcus, for not giving up on me, for teaching me what I should have learned a long time ago, for believing I could change when I did not even believe it myself." They shook hands. This time it felt different. There was mutual respect between them now. Not friendship exactly, but something solid and real. 3 days later, Derek sat in Chief Rodriguez's office again. She looked at Marcus's report and then looked at Derek. "Officer Mitchell, based on Instructor Webb's recommendation and your performance in the retraining program, I am approving your return to duty. However, you will be assigned to community policing rather than regular patrol. You will be on probation for 1 year. Any violations and you are done. No second chances after this. Do you understand? Yes, Chief, I understand. And thank you. Derek spent his first month back working in the same community where he had volunteered during his retraining, the Riverside Community Center. He worked with Ms. Johnson's programs. He talked to residents. He listened to their concerns. He helped where he could. It was strange at first. People recognized him from the viral video. Some were suspicious. Some were openly hostile. He did not blame them. He had to earn their trust all over again. From scratch. One afternoon, he was helping at the after-school program when Jasmine, the little girl who had shown him her drawing, came up to him. "Officer Derek, are you a good police officer now?" she asked innocently. The question hit him hard. How do you explain to a child that you used to be bad at your job, that you used to hurt people? "I am trying to be," he said honestly. "I am trying every day to be better than I was before." "That is good," she said with a smile. "My teacher says trying is important." Your teacher is right. Derek also started working with Marcus on a new project. They developed a training program for police officers focused on implicit bias and de-escalation. Chief Rodriguez agreed to make it mandatory for all officers in the department. Some officers complained. They said it was unnecessary political correctness. Derek understood that reaction. He had felt the same way just a few months ago. But now he knew better. During one training session, an officer raised his hand. "This all sounds nice, but in the real world, you have to make quick decisions. You do not have time to think about all this stuff." Derek spoke up. "I used to think that too. But the truth is, making quick decisions based on prejudice is not real policing. It is lazy and dangerous. Taking a few extra seconds to assess a situation properly, to treat people with respect. That does not make you weak. It makes you professional." The officer looked skeptical but did not argue further. 3 months after returning to duty, Derek was walking through the neighborhood when he saw a young black man sitting in a parked car. The old Derek would have immediately approached with suspicion, would have run the plates, would have looked for a reason to stop and search. The new Derek paused and watched himself thinking. He recognized the automatic bias trying to kick in. He took a breath and actively challenged it. Is there any actual reason to investigate this person? Is he doing anything wrong? Or am I just reacting to his appearance? There was no reason. The man was just sitting in a parked car on a public street, probably waiting for someone, probably checking his phone, doing nothing wrong. Derek walked past without stopping. It was a small moment, but it meant everything. Later that week, he got a call about a disturbance at a local store. When he arrived, he found a store manager holding a teenage boy by the arm. The boy looked scared. "Officer, thank goodness you are here," the manager said. "I caught this kid trying to steal." Derek looked at the boy. He was maybe 15. He had tears in his eyes. "Is that true?" Derek asked calmly. "Were you trying to steal something?" "No," the boy said. "I was just looking at stuff. I did not take anything. I have money in my pocket." "I was going to pay,"